Timeless 106.1 FM KFFB. This is Bob Connell. Thanks so much for joining us for a very, very special edition of our Open Mic program. A friend of mine that I really believe is a friend that I've known for quite some time, Pastor Mark Palenske. He's the pastor of the First Assembly of God Church in Greers Ferry. And Mark, everyone has seen Facebook and Twitter and all these social media that you guys have really took a hit. It's the First Assembly of God in Greers Ferry of having a lot of positive cases of this coronavirus. Tell us what you've experienced.
Well, I can tell you that when we see these numbers, we're talking about some very real people. It's not a statistical thing. It's very real for us as a church. We've really been hit hard. There are a number of people at this point that are still struggling. Some of us are getting better. Some of us are almost asymptomatic, but most of us have had some real strong struggles in the last couple of weeks.
Well, one thing when people talk about this, we're talking about the county judge, Stacey Avey from Stone County. He's been quarantined. He was exposed with someone. He has felt some body aches. He admitted that on the air. And his comment was, we all thought this was from out of area. We wouldn't have thought it had been from our own. And this is something that was been broadcast, that it was because you're tied to travel. You were one of the first ones to be identified with the coronavirus. Are you one of those world travelers?
No. As a matter of fact, we don't have anyone in our group that has been traveling. Not myself, not anybody else in the church that I'm familiar with that has been outside of the state of Arkansas in the last few weeks. It really kind of came to us. We've had to deal with it since. But nope, no travel, even though I do know that that's what a lot of people have heard.
Okay, when you look at the symptoms, you had flu-like symptoms. There wasn't a test readily available all over the nation. For some reason, the talking head says, why don't we have tests? Well, that's something they have to prepare. It's not like you just take it off the shelf. It's like a bare aspirin. So you were sick, and then when did you realize that this was the coronavirus? How did this all come about to be tested?
Well, there was some struggle with the testing part of it because the tests were not available. To be honest, I started to see that the number in our church was kind of piling up with something that was odd. We were all going to the doctors and all trying to find out, what was going on. It was, I guess, with the work a couple of local doctors that we really worked to try to get someone tested. In fact, we tried in Little Rock. We tried to, even as far as Missouri, to get a test to be able to use. And it turns out we were able to get one that was actually pretty close by. And Dina and I were tested. Dina and I were not the first people that are sick, but we were the one that was able to get tested. And that helped. I mean, the whole idea was that we had a feeling that we had a very frightening virus. Whether it was COVID or not, we didn't know. And we wanted to make sure that we were protecting people in the midst. And so even before we got tested positive, we canceled church that Sunday and didn't follow through with having our normal, regular schedule. We let the doctors tell us to be very cautious and wait for a Monday result, which was exactly what we got.
When you look at that information that came back, what were some of the symptoms that made you go there first? And then when you got the information back, tell us what you experienced.
Well, to be honest, and I have to be careful because I'm not a medical person. I'm a pastor. I can't really tell you, a whole lot of what the medical diagnosis is, but I can tell you that many of us have experienced a transitioning from one symptom to the next, starting with a headache. Then we had really, really intense body aching, and, it just continued to kind of roll to the next phase, which was maybe some nausea, and eventually got to the place where even after as much as a week, you're still dealing with the possibility of a respiratory issue. And the doctors have continually asked us if we had reached that level, because that's kind of where it gets very serious. And it's been serious for some of our folks. We still have some in the hospital at this point, and we are very, very concerned about their health and very concerned about what has taken place. So we've got still a little bit of residual. The cough that we all had is, kind of small, and but it's a part of it as well. we've even had symptoms where, you have the inability to taste anything. Well, I guess that's not true. Everything tastes really bad. I've seen those things on ports as well.
Now, when you look at the symptoms, does it shadow kind of like the flu? Is that what you kind of felt like you had at first?
No, I really didn't. It just kind of felt unique in its own right. And to be honest, I was feeling all of those things and going through it myself. But the weight of the fact that I knew so many others in the church were also feeling the same thing, really kind of kept me focused on the group and not just on the few of us. But I don't think any of us really kind of made a connection with the flu. We just felt like something wasn't right.
Now, when you look at you go through stages, how many weeks has this been from the time that you felt that something wasn't right until today?
I am at day 15, and then of course on varying levels. There are others that are on different days, and we're not really told exactly what to expect. I would have to tell you that I think I'm nearing the end of the symptoms. I know that Dina is probably in the same boat as I am, but there are some that are lagging behind. So there's really not any way for you to kind of pinpoint a time frame and say, this is how long it should last. You're just going to have to write it out and be cooperative, I think, until we can get the directives that we need that says that we're cleared.
What advice would you give to that person that is feeling this and may even been tested positive or scared? What would you give to them?
Well, I have to tell you that we live in a wonderful, wonderful place. And the place that we live in is not because of, any geographical factor. It's because of the people that we live by that is so valuable. And there are so many people that are out there that are trying to help with these circumstances. Being able to make phone calls to other people and just checking on them in the process. There's an emotional part of this. There is certainly a spiritual part of this. We're trusting in the Lord. We're believing that the Lord is going to meet our needs physically. I think it's just important that we recognize that the area that we live in, there is just a wonderful community, and we take care of each other, and we continue to make sure that we're watching each other. And I would just say, let's speak to each other. Let's communicate with each other. Let's let the medical community know that we're behind them, and let's allow our first responders an opportunity to get through this themselves. And so I would just encourage you to let you know that the friendships that you have with other people, be kind, be loving, be positive. Those things are all going to matter as we continue. But it's really the perks of living where we live. This is the kind of lifestyle that we built, and we built it a long time ago. And these are the moments that it becomes so valuable to us. We're a close-knit group. Our churches are close-knit. Our ability to connect with each other is strong and solid. And we need to continue to do that and be behind one another.
Now, Pastor Mark, another church has got a few positive coronaviruses in Westside Greers Ferry. So this is not just isolated your church. It's not just isolated in Greers Ferry community. It is actually spreading all over Arkansas. And that's why it's so important for this social distancing that they're encouraging to be careful of.
Well, I really believe that we have a strong part in being able to limit the effect of the virus. And I don't know if I have to agree with everything that everybody has said about, do this, don't do that. It's not really mine to agree. It's more or less the cooperative nature of being able to make sure that the virus has the least impact that it can on our culture. And so I really believe that what we're being asked to do is going to be very, very vital. And I do think we have to be very, very cautious. As much as I say caution, though, I do believe wholeheartedly we're going to be fine. We're going to struggle. We're going to have these moments. But I think when everybody is doing, everything they can do, we're going to be able to walk through this as best as we're able. But I do think that we limit exposure. We don't give the virus access to large number of people. we're going to do all of those things. And whether that's in a church setting or in a community setting, we just have to be appropriate. There are wonderful churches and wonderful pastors in our area. They're going to guide you. They're going to take care of what they know how to be able to do, and so they will provide you with the information that you need. Those pastors, I am very familiar with them. I am confident in them. I know that they're able to do and keep their churches going as much as possible. So I believe your direction's going to come from them, and just listen carefully to what they say.
One thing, it's very sad to know that you did lose a member to this. First or second death was one of your members of your church. Can you tell us about him?
I can, and this is one of those things that makes even this conversation, Bob, really intensely serious. And Bill has been our greeter for years and years, and if you came to First Assembly, and probably a lot of you have, you were greeted by Bill at the door. Bill was 91 years old, has been at that door for years and years. We are heartbroken, literally, over his death, and it just kind of tells you how serious this is. But when we are able to, we will have a memorial service for him and get a chance to celebrate just what he meant for us. His family is very, very dear to the church, and we are heartbroken. We just literally are feeling that and want to make sure that we support this family. It is a huge hole for us in the church body, and it is more than appropriate to tell you that that was a godly man, and that godly man just dearly loved to be in the presence of God. Is just a tender-hearted guy who prayed for just about everybody he could imagine. We're going to miss him a lot.
It's so important, Mark, for us to make sure that we change this data that they hear me read each and every day after a press conference and before the press conference from the day before's press conference, that we change the data to a face. And Bill is one of those. And matter of fact, we see you are a person that has been touched, and your whole congregation's been touched. The whole community of Greers Ferry, the whole state is praying for you guys. But also Louis Short, who has worked for KFFB for years, doing our election coverage and doing the cardboard boat races and helping with the 4th of July. He has been part of this for many, many years. He is suffering from this, and we want to send a prayer out for Louis Short and his wife, and I know he's your son-in-law, but what a great guy. And I mean, he is battling with this.
Well, first, let me say this, and this is really heartfelt. We as a church recognize that throughout this area there have been people who have been lifting us up in prayer and asking the Lord for healing. And I can tell you, as a church, we have felt that. We have been so, I don't know, we just simply have had that common ground, I guess, where we knew that there were people in this area who were steadily providing us with prayer support, and it has just meant so much to us that has been going on. And even when we have gotten the notes by email and the notes by text and all of the individuals who have attempted to use Facebook to get a hold of us, and we feel that. We really know that. That has meant a lot to us in the process. I wouldn't want to stop that. In fact, I would tell you that there are people that are outside of our church who are in situations, Lord, just like us. They're just really struggling with their physical health, and those people need the same kind of prayers that we needed. And we're very, very happy to have had them, and we're very grateful and appreciative to have that kind of support.
Now tell us, what day are you at? I'm not even sure how to ask. Is this what day are you at after you found out you had the coronavirus, or what day are you at that you felt bad? How do you know which one is which?
Well, those are good questions. I can tell you right now I'm at the day 15 since I have had first symptoms. And that is a little bit different because for the health department, there's that dating part, and then the time you're tested is the other thing that they're conscious of, or even the time that the result came in. So I am currently on day 15, and on Friday it will be a full 2 weeks after I have been tested.
And do you hear from the health department each day?
I do hear from the health department each day, and they are helping to make sure we're guided in what we're doing. I even said on the Facebook post, it's my little ray of sunshine every morning to have that young lady give me a call and ask me how I'm doing and where my symptoms lie. And I'm actually going to miss having a conversation with her. She's a really nice lady, and I can tell you that everything that she shares with us, it's kind of fluid. It kind of changes from day to day in terms of what their expectations are. It's pretty new in the game, so the health department is really kind of formulating things as they go, and we're just careful to make sure that we adhere to what they're telling us. We'll be cleared when we're cleared, and we're going to wait for them to know when that is.
We've been talking with Pastor Mark Palenske here with First Assembly of God Church in Greers Ferry. Him and his wife and his congregation have this coronavirus, and the whole idea here, Mark, is just put a face on the data, and that's what means so much. Just as we've said when we talked to the county judge of Stone County, saying that he is quarantined, he's been exposed, and he had to have a test, and he doesn't know if he's positive yet or not. But that is so important for us to realize this is people. It's not just data. And I was thinking, do you have a final thought for those that may be going down the path that you're coming out of?
I guess the only thing I would really want to make sure they understand is that this is real. This is intense. This is not something that I would think that you or your family would really want to find themselves embroiled in, and do what you need to do to make sure that you're safe and you've taken the precautions that you need. I think the other thing is that there are some very real people out there that are suffering. They're trying to do their very best to get better. They need as much love and support as they possibly can. I am so proud of the way our congregation has handled it. I'm proud, for our community and how they have handled it. But I can tell you that these people really need to get better, and so give them the opportunity to do what they need to get stronger and stronger. And we just simply want to be able to say thank you to the people in this area for the support. And our prayers are with you, and certainly I know that your prayers have been with us.
Well, Mark, we appreciate you taking time and sharing your story here on Timeless 106.1 KFFB.